Good to be with you. I'm Tony DeCopel. The breaking news right now. Powerful storm sweeping the country tonight. More than 200 million in the path of life-threatening tornadoes and flash flooding. Our Rob Marciano and Jason Allen in the storm zone. Defending the deal, President Trump and Vice President Vance hitting back at critics who say they caved to Iran.
You really have a win-win situation for the United States of America.
Face the Nation moderator Margaret Brennan on the president's rhetoric and what's changed. Star-studded celebration. The Obama Center opens in Chicago. What the former president said today about America and the many musical legends who took the stage. And the good stuff tonight, a former Pixar animator whose battle with cancer has helped him paint life in a new way.
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News with Tony DeCopel.
Good evening, and here we go. The dangerous weather along multiple fronts today. Scenes of destruction across much of the U.S. In the Midwest, a batch of tornadoes touched down, part of a line of storms there, shredding buildings and toppling trees. And to the south, flash floods, stranding folks in their homes and vehicles. That significant system along the Gulf is no longer a tropical storm, but still nothing to take lightly. We'll get to Rob Marciano in a moment with a forecast, but we begin with Jason Allen and the water rescues underway in Stone County, Mississippi. Jason, good evening.
Tony, good evening. 10 Mile Creek, it usually runs about a couple hundred yards in that direction, but then the moisture, the remnants of Arthur come in, and this is where the creek is tonight. It is surrounding homes in this neighborhood. In fact, some of the people who live back here, you can't get to their house, told us that they barely got out today as the water started to rise.
Dramatic video in Perkinston, Mississippi, where life-threatening flash floods trapped people in a campground. Rescuers used canoe paddles to break through windows of RVs, while cars and mobile homes were washed away. Throughout the southeast, neighborhoods were flooded and roads impassable.
All the roads are closed, everything's flooding.
This cemetery was overrun with water. This powerful image capturing the moment a father carried his child through knee-deep floodwater. Emergency officials urged residents to avoid flooded areas.
But right there, that's our driveway.
Back in Perkinston, Nicole Jackson and her fiance Hayden barely managed to escape before head-high floodwaters swept through their home.
It's insane how quickly it rose. People that have lived here a lot longer than us are absolutely shocked.
And their home is right back in the direction that you are looking. The water starting to drop tonight, but still too high for them to get back there. A rain gauge in a town nearby showed as much as 10 inches of rain fell this morning. It's starting to get darker here. We heard some rumbles of thunder. This area is not out of the woods yet. More rain on and off expected right into the weekend. Tony?
All right, Jason, thank you very much. We go now more than 600 miles to the north and another disaster zone in Illinois. At least 6 tornadoes were reported there last night. And meteorologist Rob Marciano is there in the hard-hit city of Effingham. Rob, good evening to you. What are you seeing?
Well, Tony, I've been seeing a massive cleanup effort all day long. This town so hard hit. Look at this. This is a car museum and auto parts business behind me, nearly completely destroyed, but obviously got a very hard hit, as did the state of Illinois for the second week in a row.
Trails of debris litter the Illinois landscape today after a tornado outbreak barreled through the state, leaving next to nothing standing in some communities. In Effingham, many homes and businesses ripped to shreds. Neighbors and community volunteers swarming damaged areas, lending a hand removing debris and salvaging what they can. Trevor Krecky posted this video as what appears to be a tornado hitting his home and tearing it to pieces.
Oh my gosh. What in the world just happened?
It almost sounded really like thunder, but it was the sound of the tree smashing atop the house.
We were there right after a huge tree crashed onto Gabe Sargent's house.
And I just felt the whole house shift.
He had his family sheltering in the bathroom during the storm.
My youngest son, and then my girlfriend on him, and then me on both of them with pillows on top of us.
Not much is left of this popular museum housing collectible cars.
I had an employee call and say it's just gone. I said, well, what's gone? She said, everything is gone.
And your heart must have just sunk when you heard that.
My heart sunk, but first off, I was so happy that there was no staff out here. Business can come second, but people can't.
Amen to that. Remarkably, no fatalities in this tornado outbreak. That system now is in the Northeast, where a tornado watch is about to expire, but still a very, very strong line that's moving through parts of New England. And we've got gusty winds with this, and they have been a severe weather warning through Boston another couple of hours before it pushes through. In the Southeast, also a tornado watch. That's in effect until 11 o'clock. That includes eastern Alabama up through Atlanta. But the bigger story is obviously the rainfall with this and all the flooding and all the saturated ground. Another 2 to 6 inches of rain expected before this thing finally wraps up on Saturday after a very busy weather week. Tony?
All right, Rob, thank you very much. Jason as well. We turn to Washington now, where Vice President Vance defended the deal to end the war with Iran, a deal he'll be responsible for finalizing over the next 60 days. For now, oil is moving again and gas prices are falling, but some of the president's own allies aren't calling this a win. Here's senior White House correspondent Weijia Zhang.
The president's peace plan in Iran is already bearing real fruits for the American people.
Vice President J.D. Vance defended the deal at the White House today, signed last night by President Trump at the Palace of Versailles. While it reopens the Strait of Hormuz with no tolls for 60 days, it also eases sanctions on the regime and sets up a $300 billion reconstruction fund for Iran. Democrats and several Republicans are fuming, calling the agreement a loss for the U.S.
If we give billions of dollars to Iran, that money will be used to murder Americans. And so I don't believe we should do that.
Vance insisted the U.S. was not giving Iran any money unless it makes good on a peace deal.
Have a little bit of faith in the President of the United States.
The memo does not address Iran's ballistic missile program. Ending it was once a key goal for the administration.
When and why did that change? And will the final agreement have any restrictions on these missiles?
The Iranians don't give up the right of self-defense in their country.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth slammed European leaders today for not assisting in the war.
It was shameful. These allies, they put America's sons and daughters, our sons and daughters, at risk by denying them the predictable access, basing, and overflight that never should have been in question at all.
Part of the bipartisan criticism from lawmakers was that the White House kept them in the dark, they said, about what was in the agreement. In response, senior administration officials briefed them today about the deal and upcoming negotiations. Tony?
All right, Weijia, thank you very much. Now, many of President Trump's stated reasons for going to war with Iran are left unresolved in this initial deal, and many of the president's stated goals for the war haven't been met. But what has changed in just a few months is his rhetoric. Take a look.
We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. I'm saying that if other countries have them, it's a little bit unfair for them not to have some. No, we're not talking about any easing of sanctions or giving money. No sanctions, no money, no nothing. It's not our money. It's their money. And we froze it. At a certain point in time, I guess we're going to have to give it back. It truly is regime change. And regime change is an imperative. Now, you talk about regime change. I never cared about regime change.
Face the Nation moderator and chief foreign affairs correspondent Margaret Brennan is here with more. Margaret, what do you make of that?
Well, Tony, the president had also repeatedly said he wanted Iran to hand over its enriched uranium. But yesterday he said it had, quote, not a lot of value and they'll just monitor it for now. It's up to Vice President Vance. As you said, he's going to tomorrow begin the hard part of negotiating some of these complex issues in 60 days or more. But some of America's leverage was that U.S. military blockade, which ended today. And Iran will soon be able to sell its oil, which will bring in much needed funds. The upside for Americans, of course, is it also brings some relief to gas prices in these summer months.
You know, Margaret, both the president and vice president have also been critical of Israel in recent days. What's different about this?
It was extraordinary. Really, the U.S. and Israel launched this war together. That is why it made it even more remarkable to hear Vice President Vance say today Trump is the, quote, only head of state in the entire world who is sympathetic to the nation of Israel at this moment in time. Vance said he was angered by some of the more hardline members of Prime Minister Netanyahu's government who have described this as a bad deal for Israel. Yesterday, Trump said Netanyahu needs to be more responsible when attacking Hezbollah in Lebanon and referred to his recent attacks as vicious. It's increasingly clear Israel and the U.S. have different goals, and the administration fears Israel could reignite armed conflict.
All very striking. Margaret, thank you very much. Early today, Russia got hammered by Ukraine, the largest attack on the capital city of Moscow since Russia invaded its neighbor more than 4 years ago. A massive swarm of Ukrainian drones hit a major oil refinery there, among other targets. CBS's Aiden Stretch has details tonight from across the border in Kyiv.
Russia's capital is feeling the reality of war. Ukraine launched more than 1,000 long-range drones toward Moscow, hitting residences in a massive oil refinery for the second time this week, blowing the lid off of a fuel tank and blanketing the city in black smoke. Air travel was shut for hours and defenses overwhelmed. This drone, intercepted by a Russian missile, still caused damage on impact. It was retaliation, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said, for a Russian strike on a nearly 1,000-year-old monastery in Kyiv Monday morning. If Ukraine burns, he said, then your Moscow will burn as well. This was the third large-scale attack on Moscow and St. Petersburg this month, puncturing Vladimir Putin's image of invincibility and bringing the war directly to Russian citizens. Ukraine's military has worked tirelessly for 2 years to develop the weapons needed to strike deep in the heart of Russia. In 2024, Ukraine launched 110 long-range drones. This year, that number's already surpassed 3,000. A Kremlin aide said today that these attacks only complicate the prospect of peace talks. Tony?
Aiden Stretch for us tonight. Aiden, thank you very much. Breaking news now ahead of the state trial of Luigi Mangione. His lawyers told a judge today that they no longer plan to use that psychiatric defense in the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. The judge previously said they planned to argue Mangione was suffering from, quote, extreme emotional disturbance when Thompson was fatally shot on a New York City sidewalk back in December of 2024. Pressed by the judge to provide details of that defense, Mangione's lawyers instead reversed their decision. A volley of gunshots sent crowds scrambling in New York City today, just about a mile south of our studio here in the heart of Times Square. That there is the corner of 44th Street and 7th Avenue, just a short distance from where the ball drops on New Year's Eve. No one was hurt, and police say a suspect is in custody. Still ahead, the other historic celebration today, the opening ceremony of the Obama Presidential Center, the A-listers who showed up and what got the former president emotional, plus a brand new problem for D.C.'s algae-infested reflecting pool. Former President Barack Obama formally unveiled his presidential center in Chicago today, calling it, quote, an expression of thanks to the city and a monument not to his story, but America's story. Here's CBS News political correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns.
10 years and $850 million in the making. On a brilliant sunny day, the south side of Chicago officially welcomed the Obama Presidential Center.
We designed the center not to be some lifeless mausoleum. I am too young for that. We wanted it to be a vibrant, living celebration of community.
A community hub with a playground, recording studio, and basketball court. Among those at the grand opening, former Presidents Biden, Clinton, and Bush, though not President Trump, who wasn't invited. Obama seemed emotional as his wife Michelle recounted his legacy and said she hopes the center brings optimism to the country.
When everything feels so upside down, when fact and fiction run together, I hope that this place can offer a respite from all that.
The event honored the former president in words.
How y'all like my tan suit? It was inspired by a very good friend of mine who made tan suits famous.
And in songs from Christina Aguilera.
What a wonderful world.
Bruce Springsteen.
In a land of hope and dream.
And Obama favorite, Stevie Wonder.
Now, the center was mostly funded through private donations, and much of this space is free to the public. But to visit the museum, you will need a ticket, and reservations for those are sold out until November, Tony.
Caitlin, thank you very much. When we come back in a moment, the effort to get a pug out of a 20-foot hole. More problems tonight with our great national home improvement project. It's not just algae in the reflecting pool at the foot of the Lincoln Memorial. Now the $14 million paint job seems to be peeling with American flag blue coming off the bottom. And a pug named Shadow had been missing for 3 days before he was found in a narrow 20-foot hole in surprisingly good spirits, I will say, wagging his tail as the fire rescue crew in California's Marin County got out the big ladder and climbed down to get him. Shadow, we're told, is now recovering at home. Coming up next, the good stuff, a Pixar animator's gifts for the hospital workers who helped him. We're back with the good stuff. It was only this past December that Vincent Saratella woke up to a change in his field of vision. And only days after that, he was in surgery to remove most of a brain tumor pressing down on his optic nerve. A second surgery removed it all, but he then spent 20 days in the ICU wondering if he'd ever get back to his work as an artist.
I think an artist losing their ability to see is extremely terrifying, but also that was where I found the most joy in what I would do.
As it happened, he didn't lose his vision, and as he lay there in recovery, he figured he owed his life to no fewer than 40 different people, and that the best way that he, as an artist, could say thank you was by creating a portrait of each and every one of them. Not only his friends and neighbors, not only his wife and family, but his doctor, his surgeon, his entire team of nurses at Sutter Health in San Francisco. When you think of your career as an artist to now, where does this work rank?
It's the very top. You know, I think any artist, the ultimate gift is to give back in such a way that can leave meaning and purpose in your life.
He says the portraits aren't as sharp because he can't see details like he used to. His vision has indeed changed. But what he sees in people, he tells us, is clearer than ever. That's another day in America. I'm Tony DeCopel. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you right back here, we hope, tomorrow night. Good night.